Welcome to the Spooky Boys podcast. My name is Adam Black. Sam couldn't be here tonight, but we have a special guest, Anthony from the Knights of Horror. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Anthony.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's been a cool minute, Adam. How you doing, man? Let me just say this to start with. I mean, I haven't talked to you in like months, and next thing you know, I find out you're on the news and you become this big this trend, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, I used to know this kid before the trend happened. I used to know this kid back in the day, man. That shocked me.
Yeah, it shocked me too. Out of nowhere. I did something kind of dumb. I made bracelets that said I was people's dad. And then all of a sudden, I'm on the news for it and everything. So I thought that was a perfect opportunity to start making YouTube videos again. And me and Anthony go way back from years ago when I was making YouTube videos that don't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
And so here he is on the podcast.
Happy to be here, man. I really am. It's good to be on the other side of things for once.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking is we've done a podcast together before.
Yes, we have.
Obviously, it wasn't over Zoom. It was at
In
Midsummer
person.
Scream, but this isn't the first time at all.
No. Yeah, that was man, Midsummer Scream. I missed it this year so much. That was a very fun time. And it was a busy weekend, but I still had a blast. And yeah, that was the first time we actually took the podcast away from the studio and into a convention. So that was fun. And if I recall right, I think we talked about the Halloween Horror Nights panel right after.
We did, because they had just announced Creep Show.
Yeah.
It was going to be a maze, and we talked about that.
That was fun, man. I had a really fun time doing that, and I really did miss it this year. I really did, and what can you do? I mean, I think they tried so hard this year too to even give you somewhat of a Midsummer Scream feeling with the whole live stream that they did with a lot of the people that they did. But obviously, it's just never the same. And then I think a couple weeks later, I actually went to the Long Beach Pike just to go hang out with a couple friends, and I was right across the street from the convention center. I missed it. And then right across the shore, you could see Queen Mary. No Dark Harbor this year. I missed that this year too. So
yeah, Dark Harbor, I think, was one of the first to say that they weren't going to do anything this year.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
It was sad, dude, because I think my buddy, we were talking, and he had actually called it on his channel, the Hauntline. And he called it, man. He said that it wasn't looking good, and then a couple weeks later it got canceled, and then right after that I believe it was Horror Nights that canceled their event, and then Scary Farm right after, or the other way around. I don't remember. I think it might have been Scary Farm then Horror Nights, but that was it's been a very depressing summer and year. But I think over here at the Knights of Horror, we really just try to find ways so we can keep everybody entertained still and give people options of what you can do. Obviously, with this whole thing going on in the world, it's really hard. People are really scared to go outside and go do anything, and we're trying to provide safe places for people to attend. We've even, ironically, I never thought I would do this, but we even found a bunch of things on the Roblox game that people can check out, virtual things. If they don't feel safe going out, there's virtual ways to still enjoy haunts and get scared. And to be honest, some of them are really creative and really scary. So I'm glad I found those.
Yeah, for sure. And if you guys watching haven't seen any of those videos yet, go to Anthony's channel, The Knights of Horror, and check those out, definitely.
Those are fun.
But yeah, I've seen all your videos. The Bloodshed Brothers, they did their little display, which looked amazing.
Yes, it was fun. I mean, Jeremy and Zach, I've really gotten a lot closer to them since I got invited out to their media night last year at the Terror and Train Town. And within the year span, I think we've started talking more and just really connecting. And so when they announced that they were doing this yard display, I remember just thinking, I'm just glad that they're still doing something and keeping their name alive for another year. I mean, not to say their name will ever go anywhere, because they've made a killing off the haunt scene, the independent haunt scene.
They're legends.
They've made a killing off the independent haunt scene, and I think eventually they're going to be having their own haunt pretty soon. I think that's their goal, is they really want to make their own haunt, like a Horror Nights type, not Scary Farm type haunt, where you have like 6 or 7 mazes, you have scare zones, food, all that stuff, scare actors. So I really love working with them every chance I get, and I love supporting them any chance I get.
Yeah. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about our keeping, Halloween Horror Nights alive, kind of. We're going to be talking about our favorite mazes of all time. But before we jump into that, I know you and TLEB Media have a little feud going on right now.
Man, let me tell you a little something about Tim, okay? Tim, he's cute, he's the youngest and the smallest out of the group, and he's cute, he thinks he's gonna we're going to a haunt, or whenever this comes out. We may have already went to this haunt, but I'm talking current time right now. We are going to Welcome to Hellfest, a new independent haunt arriving on the scene this year, and we are going to be taking the Try Not to Get Scared challenge over there this year. And Tim's just cute. He thinks he's gonna win, and just makes me laugh every time he tries to do something or tries to say something, because he can say all he wants, but when it comes down to it, man, it all comes down to how you feel going towards this haunt, man. So I'm excited to hopefully regain my title again, and still Try Not to Get Scared championship. But yeah, we've been doing a lot of promos promoting it, and I've been having a blast because I'm a huge wrestling fan, so it's just been fun doing this, and to talk crap about Tim. It's always fun. So
well, we will be rooting for you to keep the belt.
There we go. You know what? I think it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was actually talking to a couple people about that yesterday, and they were telling me that it's funny that there's a lot of more people probably rooting for the underdog, which would be me, because I have not as much subscribers as them than for them. I have not seen too many people root for them, but I've seen a ton of people root for me going into this. So I appreciate your support, and I hope I don't let everyone down. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, the Fiend over there, he's ready to go, and he wants to retain this title.
Well, we are all eagerly awaiting. Let's go ahead, and I think I'm going to have you go with your list for your top 10 Horror Nights mazes, and then I'll tell you my top 5.
Yeah.
And so let's go ahead and start with your number 10.
Yeah, I know you said 5, but I felt bad leaving everyone out. Obviously, none of the crew can make it tonight. I think Logan's at Taste of Halloween, Rob's doing Rob things, Sammy's doing Sammy things, and Will's doing Will things. So I was happy enough to come on board to represent Nights of Horror, and I'm gonna just go down my list. I chose 2 mazes. They each gave me 2 mazes that have been their all-time favorites over the years, and there's no particular order in this. There's no like the 10's the worst, 1's the best. Like, this is just everyone's thing, and I'll tell you the names and everything. But we're gonna start off with number 10, and that goes with Will. He chose Ghostbusters. 2019's Ghostbusters was probably the underdog of this event. A lot of people were really talking crap about this maze when it got announced. Like, how are you going to do this maze? It's too funny of a horror movie, and it's not going to work.
I was one of those people. But I love the maze.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be fun. I mean, I love Ghostbusters. It's a fun movie, and there's actually a lot of scares that people don't realize that maze could have used and did use in their favor, and they nailed it so completely awesome. So when Ghostbusters came around, I think I was one of the only people saying, like, this is gonna work, and I can't wait to go through this. But Ghostbusters was fun. I mean, you had whatchamacallit outside handing out cards, and that was cool, and just walking through some of the iconic scenes of the film. Such a great movie. Number 9 for Will, another 80s classic right here, Poltergeist, 2018's Poltergeist.
That was a good one.
Will, I think, holds probably the record for most walkthroughs for a guest in this maze. I think he said something like 26 times he walked through in one season of this maze. He just absolutely fell in love with it. Yeah, he really likes this maze, and he loves this movie, and it was cool to talk with Will about this. We did a series on our thing where we're walking down a trip down his memory lane of haunt season, and I think that was 2018. We just released that, and he just He loves this maze, I guess. I really enjoyed it, but I think there was far more superior mazes that season. But
I agree.
nonetheless,
it was a good maze.
Yeah, but I mean, the facade was so spot on, and they worked with what they had with a PG horror movie, so that was good. We're gonna go down to number 8 now. These next two are coming from Rob. Halloween, Michael Myers Comes Home, which was, I believe, 2015? 15 or
Yeah, I think it was
2015. When they brought Michael Myers back, based around the first Halloween film from 1978, which was probably, to say, one of the greatest horror movies ever made. And yeah, I mean, I have a lot of memories going through this. This was like the first year I ever went to the event twice, and yeah, Halloween Michael Myers Comes Home is such a fun maze. A lot of good scares, a lot of iconic scenes rebuilt, and very little black walls. So happy about
we'll
that.
get into black walls in a little bit.
Going into number 7, this is another one from Rob, An American Werewolf in London. I actually have a story for this maze. I remember originally watching the movie for the first time when it was that year when they announced it. I wasn't a fan of the movie the very first time I watched it, but as I went through the maze and rewatched the film, I think I learned to appreciate it more for its special effects and the story they try to do, and I understood it more the second time around when I watched it. But it took going through the maze to actually enjoy this film, because I think that maze just used so many great puppeteering with the werewolves, and for them to actually show the transformation scene was really so cool. And I don't know, there was just a lot of great stuff in this maze that really summed up the movie in 5 minutes, which I loved.
I totally agree.
Yeah, it was a fun maze, dude. I loved it, and that was the Jurassic Park queue. Missed that area so much, so I hope they bring that back one year, but we'll see. Number 6, these next two come from Logan. Halloween, Hell Comes to Haddonfield. That was 2016's Halloween Maze, the sequel for the sequel for Halloween Michael Myers Comes Home, based around the second film. And that was another great maze, again, located in the Jurassic Park queue line. That was such a good maze. I mean, I remember walking through that and just like, how can they up it from the first one? And they really did it spot on. I mean, the
ending.
The ending was great.
Was great.
Yeah, they really took a page out of the actual intro of the film, where you see like the title card and everything, and they took a page from that. And I thought that was so cool. And you know, I think the entire movie taking place in the hospital, it's just terrifying to me, you know, and I had a fun time watching that film and then seeing it come to life, which I thought was really cool. Let's see. Number 5 is going to go to Texas Chainsaw Massacre Back in Business. This is Logan. Logan's been going to the event now, I think, since like 2008, or when they really brought. Yeah, he's been going for years. So I think this was based around the 2003 remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this one, he said, was a fun time. It was cool to see Leatherface, and they really made it hella scary with this one. Obviously, those remakes, they're hit or miss. Some people like them, some people don't. I'm a fan of the remakes that they did, so they went a little bit more into the story of Leatherface, which I loved. Now these next two are going to be the Sammy, so this is number 4. He only went, the first time he ever went to the event was last year, so there was not a lot for him to choose, so he's going to choose his two favorite from last year. But his first one's going to be Universal Monsters Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Not a big fan of it in the beginning, but as I started going through it more, I appreciated it more as a sequel. And again, you still can never beat that 2018 Universal Monsters maze.
Of course not.
That is literally perfection put in a maze right there. But Universal Monsters Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, I mean, you had the return of Slash doing the music, which Slash is just an icon at this point. And you know, you had two great iconic monsters from the 30s, you know, Frankenstein and the Wolfman, and it was cool to walk through the gypsy camp and then going throughout the entire maze and just seeing them feud, and you're caught in between this feud, which I thought was really cool. Especially the scene where you go into the ice and they're all like frozen and stuff. Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I love that scene.
And I think that Slash with the music really is like the cherry on top of that maze.
Oh,
because
yeah, hands down.
It wouldn't have been the same without Slash doing the music. And the music is so good. I still listen to the music sometimes I'm doing homework or whatever.
Yeah, no, and I'm waiting for him to release the Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman soundtrack. They've only released Universal Monsters and his music that he did for Clowns 3D, but I really want the soundtrack for Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman because it is so good. Yeah, I do the same thing when I'm working. I will listen to it. It's just it's sweet, amazing licks that he has there, and he's a great guitar player. So number 3 is going to go to Us. Now, Sammy, if you guys don't know, Sammy loves the movie Us. That's one of his favorite horror movies of all time. So when this got announced for the event, he was super stoked. He could not wait, and he was so much he wanted to see. And I don't even think he was disappointed in this. This was like his favorite maze of 2019. He loved Us, and I have to say they did a really good job executing this from start to finish. Like, they really immersed you into that world of the doppelgangers and everything, and it was really cool to see all that. And I had fun going through it, and I know Sammy loved it. And I think Sammy, if he could take that maze home and put it in his backyard, he would have. It's such a fun maze,
and that was one where I think the set design was beautiful on that maze.
Oh yeah, I mean, you had the facade being the fun house, obviously, and then as you're going through it, you're going through the fun house, and then it goes to the house, and then back to the fun house, and all these scenes were just great. And it, like I said, Horror Nights has a really good thing of taking a movie and summarizing it up in like 5 minutes, but make you feel like you've walked through the entire film, which is no easy thing to accomplish, but they somehow know how to do it. They have their rhythm down. So Us was one of those mazes. These last 2 are going to be mazes that I've picked, that I've enjoyed over the years. And the first one is going to be, for number 2, is actually going to be Black Sabbath 13 3D. I feel, I'm a big heavy metal fan. I love metal, and I've actually seen Black Sabbath at their farewell tour. So Black Sabbath has been a band that I've listened to since I was a kid. Everyone and their mom has probably heard either one of 3 songs. You've either heard Iron Man, you've either heard Paranoid, or you've either heard War Pigs. Everyone has heard it at least one time in their life. You know what I mean? So walking through this, it was cool to, they based it, and the huge promotion around this was their newest album, 13, which I think was their final studio album they ever made. And as you walk through the maze, it was all the iconic songs from the very start of that iconic riff from the opening title track of the self-titled album, Black Sabbath. You hear that as you walk in, then you go into the church. NIB's there, Iron Man's there, Paranoid's there, War Pigs, all these iconic Black Sabbath songs in this maze. On top of that, it was in 3D, so it made it even scarier. But this is the last time we actually got to see a music IP at the event. As far as like a band comes in, I mean, we've had, of course, Holidays in Hell with Figure Music and Slash coming in, but I'm talking about in 2011, 2012, we had Alice Cooper. In I think this was 2013, we had Black Sabbath, and then it just kind of ended there. So I'm waiting still for like a Metallica, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Misfits.
Even just a Metallica Scare Zone,
yeah,
I think would be amazing.
That's how you start it right there. I mean, look at this. Will clearly prove my next pick perfectly of how it started as a Scare Zone and ended up as a maze at both events, and that is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's part of the set piece back here today. I decided to put out some Funko Pops that actually all these properties, now that I'm thinking about it, have been at Horror Nights, and I didn't even do that on purpose. I just chose my favorite ones. But Killer Clowns from Outer Space, this is a movie that I love so much, and I've loved since I was a kid. And I've had the fortunate enough opportunity to actually interview both the composer of the film, John Massari, who's a really good friend of ours now, and I've got to interview one of the main stars of the film, Grant Kramer, who plays Mike Tobacco. And there's no words of how much I love this film. It just reminds me of a fun childhood, and the clowns are just iconic. You know what these clowns look like, and the spaceship is cool, and it's just this B movie that probably shouldn't have worked, but now has become a cult classic.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
It was in the maze. The maze was really beautiful too.
The maze was fantastic. I remember walking through that facade and going into the spaceship. It's something that I've always dreamt of doing my entire life, is walking through that spaceship. I'm probably the only weirdo that's wanted to do that for so long. But going through all the iconic scenes, I mean, you have the shadow puppet scene, you have the cotton candy cocoon room, which I thought was so cool. Seeing all the clowns was so cool. You had the police station, you had the pizza scene, you had all these scenes, the funhouse scene. I mean, everything was in there, man, and it was so cool to just hear the audio cues, hear Mazzari's music, and I don't know, man. I just had such a fun time. I have one complaint about this maze, and that was because Universal Orlando had a better Clownzilla than we did. But other than that, our maze was flawless. Like I love it, and I think that's going to be my number one for a long time until something else truly shocks me. But that's my all-time favorite horror film. So I don't know if that's going to be leaving the number one spot ever again.
Well, you mentioned a good point there, because, I hate to say this, but I feel like Orlando always has a superior maze than Hollywood does.
Yeah.
Maybe with the exception of Universal Monsters, because I think they had that last year and we had it the year before.
Yeah.
We had it 2 years and they've only had it 1 year. But I think they just have a bigger budget there.
Yeah, they do. Way bigger. But I will say this, I've talked to a lot of people who actually go to the event. I've gotten to meet a lot of fans who live out there and go to the event, discovered my channel through other YouTubers and stuff, but a lot of people actually loved the way our maze was designed outside of the Clownzilla. Because the thing I've noticed with Orlando's mazes compared to ours is Orlando likes to put things out of order, or if you look at the Killer Clowns maze, for example, they didn't use Mazzari's they didn't use his score. They used like a lot of like cheesy funhouse sound effects that you'd hear going through like a carnival pop-up funhouse. And the thing with Killer Clowns, or this goes for any of the movies they usually do jump them out of order. So they'll start you from the end of the movie, and then they'll put scenes kind of somewhat in order, but they're jumped out of place in some instances. That goes exactly the same for Killer Clowns. You enter through the whole clown tent, and then the first thing you see is the shadow puppet scene. And then you see the cop being controlled as a puppet, and then you go back to the ship, and it's kind of out of order. The thing I liked about what Murdy does is he takes you from start to finish, from the facade all the way to the very last scene. He starts the movie at the very beginning and takes you to the very end. And he did that with Killer Clowns this year. He did that with the whole old man coming out and reciting that whole scene of looking for his dog and getting electrocuted. Yeah. And then that was pretty much that facade, which was what started the maze. And then as you went in, you went through it chronologically. And he does that for all of his mazes, which I think, for me, going to Orlando, it's going to be a little confusing seeing that compared to me being used to Hollywood, but we'll see. I mean, I think I will still enjoy Orlando just as much because they are really good on their original mazes. So that's what I would really want to go see more than anything, is just their originals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I know they had the a couple of years ago the Carnival Graveyard maze, which looked really cool. And it looks like, for a while we had like no original mazes in Hollywood, it felt like, for a little period of time. But just recently we started getting more original mazes, which I really liked, like Pandora's Box.
Yes.
Was a really good maze. But I'm going to go ahead and jump in with my list.
Yes, looking forward to it, man.
You're going to hate me for my number 5. I already know it because my number 5 is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Hey, I don't hate you because it made the top 5, so...
It definitely made top 5, and it could have been 4. It was gonna be 4 or 5. I couldn't really decide, so I just put it as number 5. But yeah, like you said, it was a really great maze. It was a fun maze to walk through.
Right.
It was. It felt like you were really, really in the movie. Which some mazes, you have like a ton of black walls and stuff. Killer Clowns, there weren't too many black walls. It just was a good, solid maze. For number 4. I have 2018's Stranger Things.
Okay.
I thought was a really good maze. 2019 Stranger Things.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
We don't talk about 2019 Stranger Things.
That didn't happen. That wasn't a maze.
Nope.
But 2018's Stranger Things I thought was really good. Being in a soundstage, there weren't too many black walls. You walked into Hodgkin's lab, and it was a good, solid maze. There were good scares. The only thing I didn't like necessarily about Stranger Things, the one thing I will say, is I thought the Demogorgon's costumes were a little
Yeah.
They were a little
A lot of
underwhelming,
people did.
But other than that, I thought it was a really solid maze.
Right.
So for number 3, I have 2016's American Horror Story, which took you through Murder House, Freak Show, and Hotel,
Right.
if I remember correctly. And I thought that was a really solid maze. It was a long maze.
Yeah.
I felt like, and I mean, the next year they did just Roanoke for that maze.
Oh God, Roanoke.
Yeah.
Wasn't a fan of that either.
Yeah, it's like, you know, Horror Nights has a history of having a really good maze one year, and then they like bring like a sequel to that maze the next year, and it's so underwhelming.
You know what? I'm glad I'm not the only one that didn't notice that, because I agree. There's a lot of instances where they do it one year, it's a solid maze, and then they bring the same property back the second year, and it's not as good. Outside of like Universal Monsters or like Halloween,
Right.
for example, but
Or Halloween, yeah.
I mean, there's
Or
like a
the
hit or miss.
Blumhouse.
Like I would say 75% of the time they do a first year maze and they bring it back for a second year, it's never good. Horrors of Blumhouse, perfect example. First year was
Right.
like really good. Second year sucked.
So bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad, and you know what? It makes me wonder why that happens. Do they try too hard the second year? You know, there's all this.
I think what it
pressure.
is like maybe they focused with the budget that first year all on that maze, and then when they get a property that they know is going to be probably even a better property than that, they focus their budget elsewhere maybe. For example, Stranger Things 2 should have... I get it. Season 2, probably not the best season of Stranger Things in my opinion, but there's still a lot to work with. There really is. But tell me why Stranger Things 2 or Killer Clowns looked a lot better than Stranger Things 2.
So much better,
Right?
And that, and Stranger Things 2 was, I believe, like one of the main things of the event, because you had like the whole like on the lower lot you had like the Starcourt Mall type food services, and like they really hyped this maze up.
They did.
And it was just so bad.
Like outside of, I think every other maze except for House of Thousand Corpses and Stranger Things were like beautiful, and it was like, God.
So disappointing.
Yeah.
I was so looking forward to it,
Yeah.
and it was a hit and miss.
Again, so much to work with, and they just didn't.
And it wasn't even, some of the set design in that maze was okay.
Yeah.
It didn't work. I don't know.
Dude,
It
I
didn't-
personally would have loved to have seen like 11 close the portal. That would have been dope.
Yeah.
Like her with her like other people that have powers, to see them pop out every now and then. That would have been cool. Like, get more scare actors in there, man. It just doesn't have to be Demogorgons, you know? I mean, there's others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're the main scare of the show, but throw some other people in there.
Yeah, it was really disappointing, and I don't know if we'll ever see Stranger Things necessarily at the event again.
Not at that event, but the drive-through experience, man. I think that's going to be a good one.
I don't know if I don't think I'm going to be going to that, but you know, I'll be watching videos of that. Looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is 2016's Krampus,
Good maze.
which is just, it was an amazing maze.
Was.
2016 was actually a really good year.
I will hands down say that was probably, out of the years I've been going, because I've been going since 2011, I would say that's probably the best year that Horror Nights has ever had.
It was, I mean, I can't think of one single maze that I didn't really like that year.
Yeah, there was, I mean, you had Freddy vs. Jason, Krampus, you had American Horror Story, which was the first year they did it, and that was a great maze. And then you had, what was it, The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
Freddy vs. Or no, I already said that. Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was just a solid year. The Terror Tram was great. Hollywood Harry.
Hollywood Harry was really good. And it happened to be around the 2016, you know, all the clown sightings around here.
Yeah.
It worked perfectly.
It did.
And I really liked the Purge Gauntlet of Fear 2. That
Yeah.
little Scare Zone maze thing was
Yeah,
really
because
good.
it was almost like a bonus maze. They didn't really announce that or anything. It just kind of just was there. Like you walked in, you're like, what? Because I don't remember. As far as my knowledge, like, and I used to follow that. Me and my cousin used to follow it like religiously. We don't remember them announcing that ever. We just remember there was gonna be a Purge Scare Zone, and that was it.
Yeah, and it was like, it was really good. There was never like, you never really had to wait in line for it.
No, you just walk through.
That was amazing, and of course, but Krampus, I mean, the facade was beautiful.
Oh my God, yes it was.
there were like no black walls in that, if I remember correctly.
Not a lot, no.
Pumped,
There was it was all decked out Christmas. It was great.
they pumped in the cold air. That was just it was a really good maze.
They did a good job with the ending too, much like the film when you think everything's okay and then Krampus is there to ruin it all. So
yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. And then my number one obviously is going to go to Universal Classic Monsters.
Yes.
Just because you won't ever find a maze like that.
Well, I think I may have found one this season. There is a home haunt happening by the Drex Society, and they're doing their same movie theater concept that they did last year, but taking it to the 1940s in London during World War II. And it's going to be inside of a movie theater, and the movies that you'll be seeing are Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy, and The Phantom of the Opera. We'll see how good it is. I'm excited. They do really good work, so.
I didn't know that. I am now looking forward to that actually a lot.
I believe that one's in Ontario, so it's going to be a fun time.
And you know what? That leads me to my next point, is that home haunts are really carrying this year.
They are.
For Halloween. Like, on their shoulders. Like, they're really keeping the Halloween spirit alive.
Yeah. No, they really are. And we've been to just the 1 yard display, and we've been through drive-through haunt and the hayride. That's all we've done thus far, and those are kind of all major haunts. And the yard display by the Bloodshed Brothers, they're like the first kind of indie haunt thing that we've done, which was phenomenal. I mean, my video doesn't do any justice to what that looks like in person. Like, that yard display was probably really good. But, you know, I keep saying it this year. I think this is the year of the home haunts. I think they have a lot to prove this year, and I think they have a lot of weight on their shoulders this year because everyone's relying on them for a good scare. And we've already gotten a chance to talk with a few of them. I mean, we talked to Drex Society. They are sounding like they are just stoked, and they have like this whole 5-year plan for the next 5 years. So they're planning ahead, and they're ready to go. Corona Haunt sounds like they're going to have something really good this year, and we can't wait to go see them. And the new one that's really kind of have my eyes on this year is Hellfest, which I'm looking forward to a lot. But no, there's a lot of home haunts out there, and that's just to name a few. There's way more yard displays. Something that I thought was interesting that popped up in the last week was here's my one. I'm going to use my one in here. A fucking car wash that is doing a haunted.
Yes, I saw that on the haunt line.
Yeah, that is nuts. Like, I had to use my one F-bomb for that because I am still amazed by that. I really am. I think that's a great concept. My only problem is if I were to scare act in that, I don't want to be wet in a costume all night.
Yeah.
If I'm actually working inside the car wash, like, no. But
yeah, I saw the video. They're all like wet, but they look like they're really enjoying scaring it.
Ironically, I found out actually a lot of not scare actors are working that, so it has to be a good event because a lot of those people are talented. So
yeah, and you have did you go to the Knott's what's it, Taste of Halloween?
Taste of Halloween. We've done it twice now, and it is such a good event. It really is. I did Taste of Knott's before that, and it was really cool just to be back in the theme park and try different foods and stuff. And Taste of Halloween really brought out the Halloween decorations, and they made it where you can have a good time as a family, but it's a lot of reminiscing to Not Scary Farm. Like, it's really cool. If you go into the Carnival section at night, they'll do the light show on hang time, and also they'll play the music, which I think is really cool. And if you go through the Camp Snoopy area, they have like a little trick-or-treat trail for the kids, and they have a lot of like Scary Farm props out there from Scare Zones, past mazes. So it looks really dope just to see all that and reminisce on the past. And I think the best thing at that event is if you wait around nighttime again, if you go through Ghost Town, they actually have fog pumping through Ghost Town, so that's cool.
Right, and that's what I heard. So it's like a little taste of Scary Farm.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. They realized that a lot of fans actually missed this event, and opening weekend, I know so many of the Knott's community, Scary Farm community, went out and just went to go check it out. It's so fun.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Only good things about that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really cool that they're doing that. I don't know if Universal Studios could have done something similar to that.
I think Universal and Disney could have hopped on that bandwagon pretty Six Festival, especially Disney, dude. Anybody says, hey, we're going to open up our park so you can walk around and eat food, all the Disney fans are going to be there. That thing will sell out in minutes. And the same thing with Universal. I mean, I think just anything, if you get the opportunity to go to any theme park in general, to walk around and eat food and just see this, just to see the ambiance of the theme park, people are going to show up and go. It's a no-brainer, especially Disney. Like I said, there's such a big fan base for Disney. If they were to charge $50 for a tasting ticket and all you got to do was walk around Main Street and that was it, like, people will show up and go.
Yeah, I mean, you look at just people going to downtown Disney right now. It's packed.
Yeah.
And so I think that definitely would work. It makes me wonder kind of why they're not doing it.
I don't know, man. I mean, I hear them every week. Or every other week, them always saying they're hurting for money and stuff, and it's like, well, if you guys are hurting that bad, do what Knott's is doing.
Right.
Regardless, and the reason why I said they probably charge $50 a ticket, because let's be realistic, Disney would charge that much just to enter their park for a few hours just to do a tasting.
Right.
I mean, Knott's was a more reasonable, like, hey, the park's open, but the rides aren't, so we'll charge this much a ticket, and every ticket they've done thus far has gone up $5, but regardless, it's still a reasonable price. I think it's currently at like $35 right now. So I'm thinking if they do a Christmas one, it can go up to like $40 or something like that. But it's
still really reasonable.
No, it is, and you get 5 tastings, and I think it really fills you up at the end of the day. Like, you can do all entrees, all desserts, or all drinks. But I usually do like 3 entrees, a drink, and a dessert. So it works.
That's a good deal in my opinion. I think that I don't know if it's fully booked up yet, but if you get the opportunity to go, people you watching, definitely go check that out. If you can't go,
there's videos on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
The event is completely sold out. Sorry to say, it really is, and it's a good sign, because that means a lot of people miss Halloween and they really want to go see these decorations. So it's really cool, but I guarantee you, there's already talks that I'm hearing that they might be doing a Christmas one. So definitely, that might be the last opportunity you get to experience a taste of Knott's kind of thing, and take advantage of that, because if you thought they decorated good for Halloween, which they really do, they decorate even better for Christmas. They go all out. So definitely, when the Christmas ones get announced, I would hurry up and buy your tickets as fast as possible, because you're not going to want to miss the Christmas vibe.
As soon as you can, because those will be gone like that.
I mean, Halloween, I think my favorite holiday of all time is Halloween, but a lot of people love Christmas, and I can guarantee you that will sell even faster than Taste of Halloween did.
Right. There's the few of us who love Halloween more than Christmas, but I think the majority of people do enjoy Christmas a little more.
Yeah.
So I ask every guest on the Spooky Boys these 2 questions, because it's just kind of a tradition now. So first of all, do you believe in ghosts?
Of course. I've seen ghosts, and I haven't seen them, but I've had some paranormal experiences at my job that I work at, and yeah, man, I believe there's something definitely out there. There is. The paranormal is a very thick line between reality and the other side, and it's that bridge, that gaps in between. And no, I watch all the ghost shows, and I watch all these ghost videos. I follow a lot of them. So the paranormal, I don't care what anyone says, that is real. I firsthand have experienced the paranormal, so I believe in that 100%.
Yeah. And second, what is your favorite scary movie?
Ooh. It's between Killer Clowns from Outer Space and between 3 movies: Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Halloween 1978, and The Exorcist. But I'm gonna go more towards Killer Clowns from Outer Space, because it's just such a fun movie, and I'm living out my dream. I finally get to talk to some of the cast and crew of that, and it's one of those movies that I never get tired of. I can probably quote the entire movie and have a fun time.
It's just one of those movies that you never get tired of watching.
No, never. I mean, from the costumes to the ray guns to the popcorn guns to the insane magic tricks the clowns do, the pie scene. I mean, another door. It's great.
Yeah, another door.
You don't even know, on that podcast, I got him to say it to me in person. I think that was probably the most I ever fanboyed in my life. I couldn't even finish my sentence, Adam, and he knew where I was going with the question and just mid-sentence just said it. And I was like, my life is complete now. I can die happily.
I can die happy.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, really, I think the way I really want to end this podcast is just saying that I really hope that Horror Nights and Scary Farm and Fright Fest and all those, amazing events can happen next year.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, I thought that, back when COVID was happening, back in March, I thought, by Halloween, it will be okay. Then we kind of got a glimmer of hope because they started putting up the Halloween Horror Nights mazes.
Yeah.
But then it didn't work out. So I really hope next year is able to happen.
No, I agree.
Encourage, everyone watching, if you feel safe doing it, definitely go and check out some of those great home haunt displays around the LA area, because the people who put those on, they're so dedicated. They really love what they do, and they're saving Halloween this year. So
they really are. No, they really are. And every guest we've had on, I've told them that personally. Like, thank you for saving Halloween and still doing something, because there's a lot of us out there that were very sad when a lot of these events got canceled, and there's just other ways. I can tell you this right now, you can never cancel Halloween. Regardless, there's ways around it to celebrate. If you don't go out trick-or-treating, if you don't go out to a big Halloween party, if you don't go to any of these haunts, there's ways to celebrate it at your house. They have purposely made ways so you can do it. I mean, you can get together with your family, have a nice little Halloween party between you guys. You can watch a bunch of horror movies on Halloween. And I believe this is honestly, because I know there's a lot of people out there that just don't feel safe going out, and that is completely understandable because this is a very deadly virus. Roblox, I swear to you, there is I've been through at least 5 haunts, and I think the last haunt I went through scared the crap out of me the most. And I am just so amazed of how much time and effort goes into these haunts. I cannot thank these guys enough for just creating something like this. So Roblox, if you want to get your haunt fix of some sort, check out Roblox. It's free. I think the only event that costs money to go in is the Horror Nights one, but it's I think the most expensive ticket's $5. So it's a frequent fear pass with express on it. So you get to cut the lines and stuff. But other than that, it's a lot of the other haunts that you find, just go on Twitter. A lot of these other haunts follow each other. A lot of them are free. I've been to 4 free ones. I think Horror Nights was the only one I paid for. And it's fun time. You'll still get your haunt fix, and it's the safest way to do Halloween this year if you want to go to any haunt.
Right. And also, if you do happen to go to a home haunt or anything, be respectful, please. I mean, that should go without saying, but I've heard stories of people going and not being respectful. Wear a mask, be safe about it. Yeah. But I encourage you to go out and have fun. Have a good Halloween. And so
I agree. Have a good time. Be safe out there, though. I mean, it is a scary world right now, but be safe.
Exactly.
As long as you have a good time, that's all that matters. But have a good time. Be safe while doing it, please.
Exactly. And so I think that's pretty much going to wrap things up. Is there anything else you want to say on the podcast, Anthony?
No, it's been good catching up, man. It's been a cool minute, and when I found out you relaunched your channel with the Adam Black is my dad thing, I thought that was hilarious, and I saw the news report, and I was laughing at it, and I thought it was hilarious. And you know what it reminded me of, actually, before we wrap up, is that one scene in Project X where the kid Costa is having an interview with the the reporter at the end, and he's all dressed cool and stuff. But I thought it was funny where we actually heard your voice on the news and everything. I was like, oh my God, this kid is famous now. So
yeah, I just went before the podcast. I went to the grocery store, and I'm checking out, and all the items are on the belt, or the little conveyor belt thing, and the cashier tells me, you look familiar, and I'm like, I do. Maybe we went to school together or something. And she goes, is your name Adam? And I go, yeah. And she says, Adam Black? And I'm like, yeah, how do you know me? And she's like, as in Adam Black is my dad? Oh, I turned so red. I was like, so, yeah, that's me.
Do you now realize this is probably going to be the rest of your life?
Yeah. No, I can't live this down. Whatever I do.
You might as well embrace it. I mean, you're already making merch out of it and everything. Might as well just keep going with it.
Right. And that's why I made this channel, because I was like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna embrace it. I'm just gonna do it.
It's cool though. I mean, I'm glad you're doing a podcast and everything. You're still keeping that spooky vibe of yourself. I know you're a big fan of horror and all these events as well. So it's cool to see another podcast come up, man. I mean, we've been going for like 100-something episodes now, and I hope to see you keep up with it and keep going, get to 100, man. It's fun. It's a fun time. Get more guests, and best advice I can offer you: shoot your shot, reach out. The worst they can say to you is no.
That's good advice. I actually, if you know the Office, David Wallace, the actor who plays him is Andy Buckley, and I've been in contact with him. He actually might be joining us on the podcast one of these days, which would be so
you
cool.
Talking about my all-time favorite show that I just bought on Prime Day, The Office, and you're gonna have fucking. That was the second one. I'm sorry, David Wallace on the show.
Possibly, but yeah. I messaged him and I got a message back, and that's crazy, but that might happen. So that would be really cool.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I mean, that's how it starts, man. I didn't think I was ever gonna get anyone from Killer Clowns on my show, and here I am, 5-year-old me looking up at me like, you did it, dude. And I'm like, I know, and I still can't believe it. But no, man, like I said, just keep shooting your shot, and like I said, the worst these people can tell you is no.
All right, Anthony. Well, thank you for joining us joining me, because Sam's not here, on the Spooky Boys podcast. If you ever want to be on again, you're more than welcome. I
will take you up on that. Same goes for you guys. If you want to join the Mindless Horror podcast, you just hit me up, man. I'm literally a text away.
Dope. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay spooky, and we'll see you in the next episode.